Hey everybody, we finally made it to actually writing the justice paper, and yay! So here's what we're going to start with. We are going to go through this very quickly today. We're going to talk about generalized terms and the words, and we're going to talk about what words are essential in all forms of justice, because remember, you are doing a synthesis and you're going to pull together all of the types of justice to define justice for yourself. We're going to talk a little bit about structure again. And remember that this is a map. You're going on a journey, and you're going to probably have to recalibrate along the way. There's always some unexpected road construction on your map, so just don't get mired in that. This is a writing process, and just like any other, there's going to be some roadblocks, and you'll be fine. We're going to talk about post-it noting again. That is your strategy for pulling things, big ideas from all of the texts within the big idea. And then remember that we're using these patterns of development all through this expository piece. This is an academic piece of writing, and you're going to be using academic language throughout. So the first thing we're going to start with is the thesis. And here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. I'm going to encourage you to get out a piece of notebook paper and just write all the words that come to mind that encapsulate justice. What are the words that you need? This is just how we've started all of our synthesis papers as well. What words encapsulate justice for you? I've put a smattering on here. There's so many more, as you know. I would do a huge brainstorm and get as many words as you think fit down as possible in your notebook. And then once you have those words down, I would pull out your pre-writing worksheet. This is posted in the folder with this presentation. The pre-writing worksheet is going to be due this week on Wednesday. So you're going to have to fill out this pre-writing worksheet anyway. After you brainstorm all of your words, I would sort them. Some words are going to be completely essential. You absolutely have to have them in order to have justice. You must have certain concepts, right? Then there are going to be some that are just kind of icing on the cake. They're fluffy. It would be great. It would be wonderful if we had everything, but they're kind of extra. They're not necessary in order to have justice. And then you're going to have some words where you're going to think, well, yeah, I'd really like this. Now, is this absolutely necessary in order to have justice, though? I'm not sure. And that will be your muddy middle, okay? So try and sort all those big words into your Venn diagram. That's the first component in your pre-writing. And then once you have all of those words all sorted, you're going to try composing a thesis. Now this will be a working thesis, which means it might or probably will change as you write your paper and draft. And that's just fine. This is part of your drafting. It's called a working thesis, so it can change, right? But try, what words will you keep? And were they on your essential list? And if they weren't, why? Why are they in your thesis? Should they be in your essential list? I want you to get the tension there. Wordsmith, play around, try and be brilliant. You're going to start, of course, with our sentence starter, but by the end, you should have a brilliant, well-written thesis statement. So try it out. And remember, right now, it's your working thesis. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but try writing that. And now you will know where you're going to end your paper. Because remember, just a reminder in case you haven't gotten it yet, this is an inductive paper. We're going to start with the crime scene. We're going to start with the dead body laying on the pavement. Oh my gosh, JR is dead. Who killed JR? Right? So instead of that, we're going to say, oh my gosh, here is justice. How would we define justice? So that's what we're starting with. We need to define justice. How are we going to do that? We are not going to start with our thesis because that is what's going to end It's going to be the end of our journey. And speaking of journeys, you're going to have to figure out a journey. How are you going to get to your thesis? Maybe you're going to do incident to deeper reflection. Maybe you're going to do obvious to surprising. Maybe simple to complex. Or maybe you're going to do through time. You get to choose whatever journey you would like to try and take your reader on the bus on that journey. And after you figure that out, you're going to have to figure out, where are we going to stop along the way? When you say, come on, reader, we're going to go define justice, get on the bus, you're going to have some road stops, right? So you have to plan out, where are we going to stop? What are we going to discuss? And remember that those stops need to be logical and lead from one to the next in a logical way. Okay? So that's your next job in your worksheet, right? You do the thesis, you figure out the stops along the way, you figure out the journey, and then you have to start thinking about, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going to end up. I know where my map is taking me. Now I need to figure out how to get people on the bus. And remember that your invitation is just that. Come on, reader, get on the bus. Let's go. And it needs to establish the need to define justice. It does not have a thesis statement, but it needs to establish that need to define justice. Okay? So you're going to have to be a little bit creative. There's some links here that are in the folder as well that you can go and check out from the New York Times, and there's a Prezi. But you're going to be thinking, what makes sense? Why should a reader read your essay? Why do you want them to read your essay? What makes it interesting to them, your reader? Where's your bait? How are you going to hook them in? And this also includes a really good lead. So don't forget that short sentence at the beginning to catch people's attention. So we'll talk more about it in your drafts, but I want you to try writing that invitation. Try and figure out what you're going to say, how that is going to entice your reader. And then, of course, there's this text sorting. So for this paper, you must use 10 texts. That meets expectations, which means a C. You must use 10 texts. So you're going to choose what texts fit the best for your journey and for your thesis statement. And these are the texts that are going to illustrate and help you to define justice. Remember that you are required to use the expository texts for your theory. That is the backbone of your paper. So 10 texts are required. There are 7 expository texts. You need to use 3 expository texts as a minimum, at least 3. So out of your 10 that are a minimum of 10, you need to use at least 3. So you are synthesizing these 10 texts. And you have big ideas. Those are your stops, right? And you're going to look through the text just like we did with the green sheets and pull ideas that fit within those big ideas. And then your paper is going to be organized by those big ideas, which are each of your stops along the way. Okay? If you decide to use a text that is not in your text set, that you didn't find when you were researching by yourself, that you didn't get out of the pool, and is not one of the ones that I gave you as a required text, you are free to use that, but that needs to be in addition to the 10 texts requirement. Okay, because I know about all of the ones that are in the text sets, so I've read them, I know about them. If you're going to do another one, it has to be in addition to the 10 texts. All right? All right, so don't forget that you're writing toward a destination, which is your thesis, and that thesis statement should be in a concluding paragraph. And that concluding paragraph is what is foreshadowed in the invitation. It's foreshadowed, it is not told. You're inviting them to get to this destination. And just as a person leaving on a journey must know where they're going, so too must the writer. So you need to know where you're going. And that is your thesis statement. And that's your destination. So don't forget, you're writing toward your thesis statement. Okay? I have a few other little things here that is a different view of definition papers. You can go ahead and read those on your own. It might be a little insightful, and it might help you figure out how to write your paper a little bit better. It might speak to you, is what I'm saying. Okay? Here's I don't know why that keeps doing that. So here's your assignment for this. This is due on Wednesday. Your pre-writing worksheet is due on Wednesday. That means you're going to do your Venn diagram. You're going to have your working thesis. You're going to talk about your journey and your stops. And then you're going to map it out here. Okay? Those 4 things are what you're going to do for Wednesday at noon. That should be in the assignment folder, which will close at noon on Wednesday. Okay? And the reason this is due on Wednesday is because after that, you're going to start drafting. Shitty first draft is due Friday. And remember, Anne Lamott is the one that coined the term shitty first draft. And you're going to do a shitty first draft for Friday. Now you get to dive in and finally write your paper. I cannot wait to see what you come up with. So take a deep breath. We're getting there. We're getting there. Have fun with this. Enjoy the journey. I'll see you on the next presentation.